My family hid that my sister slept with my husband. It broke me. At her baby shower, I'm giving a gift they won't forget, one that ensures they remember what they did and that everyone else does too. But maybe I should start from the beginning. A little backstory on my family might help put things into perspective. My name's Maya. And recently I found out something that flipped my entire world upside down. But before diving into the chaos, I think it's important you understand the kind of family I come from. See, I've always known I wasn't the favorite. No one ever said it outright, but I didn't need them to. You can just feel the kind of thing deep in your gut. It's in the way your parents look at you differently than they do your sibling. In how they speak to you, how their tone softens for one and sharpens for the other. It's the little choices they make, the big ones too. My sister, Chloe, she was the golden one. Always has been. She could do no wrong in their eyes. She was the light of the family, the one they bragged about while I stayed on the sidelines watching from the dark corners. It wasn't subtle either. If Chloe brought home a good grade, it was like she'd won a Nobel Prize. They'd frame it and show it off to everyone who walked through the door. If I did just as well, I'd maybe get a smile, a quick good job, and then they'd go right back to gushing about Chloe. I was always just there, living in her shadow. And yet I never hated her. Sure, I held some bitterness over how our parents put her on a pedestal while I was barely seen. But she was still my sister. I loved her even then. I didn't blame her for how they treated us. At least not back then. I figured, as we got older, all of that favoritism would fade away. That we'd grow up, build our own lives, and somehow meet in the middle. I believed our relationship would level out. I thought we'd find some kind of peace. But I was wrong. So wrong. It all came crashing down just 2 nights ago. What was supposed to be a simple family dinner turned into the night everything fell apart. We were at my parents' house. They had invited us over to celebrate Chloe's pregnancy. And I was genuinely happy for her, really, I was. She and her husband, Jordan, had been trying for quite a while, and I knew how much starting a family meant to her. So I went. Even though I always feel this tight knot in my stomach every time I'm around my family. It's like this constant reminder that I'm not enough, that I'll always be second best in their eyes. Ethan, my husband, came with me as he had for the past 5 years. He knew how tangled and painful things were with my family. He'd always been the one to stand beside me, the one who made me feel like I mattered. Or at least, that's what I thought. Dinner itself was normal. We all sat around the table, laughing, eating, raising our glasses to Chloe's big news. My parents were practically glowing. They were so proud, talking about her pregnancy like she was the first woman in history to have a baby. But I was used to that kind of thing. I played along, smiled, congratulated her, acted like everything was fine. But later that night, everything changed. After dinner, I got up to use the bathroom. On the way back, I passed by the kitchen and heard my parents talking in low voices. Something about the way they whispered made me stop. I should have just kept walking, but instinct, or maybe something deeper, made me freeze. And then I heard it. My mom said something about how they'd never tell me about Chloe's mistake. At first, I didn't get it. I stood there confused, wondering what kind of mistake they meant. But then it hit me. Hard. Like someone had smacked me across the face. They were talking about how Chloe had slept with Ethan, my husband. Apparently, it had happened months ago. And instead of telling me, my parents made a choice to protect Chloe. Because, in their eyes, she was too precious to have her reputation stained. They called it a simple mistake, a moment of weakness that didn't deserve to ruin her life. They said what really mattered was that she was pregnant now. I stood there numb. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. It felt like the walls were caving in on me. My head swirled with confusion and fury. Ethan, my husband, the man I loved and trusted more than anyone, had betrayed me. And with my own sister. And worse? My parents knew. They knew and they chose to hide it from me. To protect her. To protect Chloe. Again. Always Chloe. In that moment, all those years of being treated like I didn't matter suddenly made cruel sense. They'd picked her. Just like they always had. I honestly don't even remember leaving the house that night. I think I mumbled something about not feeling well, then slipped out the door. I got in my car and drove. I couldn't face them, not my parents, not Chloe, and definitely not Ethan. I just needed to get away. I don't even remember where I went. I just kept driving like I was trying to outrun the truth. Now it's been 2 days and I still can't wrap my head around any of it. I haven't said a word to Ethan about what I heard. Haven't talked to my parents either. I've barely even looked at him. Ethan keeps asking what's wrong, why I'm being distant, but I can't bring myself to answer. Every time I see his face, all I can picture is him with her. My sister. How could he? How could she? And how the hell could my parents pretend it didn't matter? I keep replaying that moment in my head, hearing them say Chloe's slip wasn't worth ruining her life over. But what about mine? My marriage? Don't I count? Or was I always just disposable in their eyes? I feel invisible, like I've been written out of my own life story. It's always been about Chloe. No matter what she does, no matter who she hurts, they shield her. They worship her. And I'm left holding the broken pieces. Now, I don't know what to do next. I don't know if I should confront Ethan and demand the truth. Or if I should start with my parents and tell them just how much they've crushed me. Or maybe it should be Chloe. The truth is, I don't even know if I have the strength to face any of them. The thought of sitting across from my sister and listening to whatever excuse she might try to offer makes me physically sick. But I also know I can't keep going like this. I can't keep pretending everything's fine while this storm is tearing me apart inside. Part of me wants to scream at all of them, make them see the damage they've done. But another part just wants to vanish. Disappear. Walk away and never look back. And honestly, I don't know which part of me is right. I don't know if there's even a right choice anymore. All I know is that right now, I feel completely wrecked. Like someone took everything that held me together and just smashed it to pieces. And I don't even know where to start picking them up. I've spent my entire life carrying this feeling that I don't measure up, that I'm somehow always falling short. And now, after what happened, it feels like that belief's been confirmed in the harshest way possible. My parents have made it crystal clear, Chloe comes first. Always has, always will, no matter who gets trampled in the process. But where does that leave me? How do I keep moving forward knowing the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally have chosen her over me again and again? I don't have an answer. God, I wish I did. I wish I knew how to fix this, or at the very least, how to live with it. But all I feel right now is pain. The kind that doesn't let up. The kind that settles in deep and refuses to budge. That's why I'm even writing this out, honestly. Because I don't know what else to do. I need someone, anyone, to tell me what the hell I'm supposed to do now. I feel like I'm crumbling and I don't know how to stop it. I get that from the outside it probably looks more black and white. It's easy to have an opinion when you're not the one living through it. But when you're stuck in the middle of this mess, when you're drowning in it, it's suffocating. Update 1. It's been a little over 2 weeks since I first wrote all that. I've had time to sit with everything, to cry, to think, to scream into pillows, and slowly I've started to see things differently. The heartbreak is still there, but the numbness has faded. And what's taken its place? Something colder. Sharper. Something I didn't expect. At first, I thought I'd confront them, Ethan, Chloe, and my parents. I imagined myself demanding answers, maybe even breaking down in front of them. But the more I sat with that idea, the more I realized I didn't want tears or explanations. I wanted something else entirely. I wanted revenge. Not the wild, screaming, throwing dishes kind. No. I wanted to strike back in a way that would echo. I wanted them to feel even a fraction of the pain they dumped on me like it didn't matter. And I was going to do it all by the book. No illegal mess. Just clean, surgical devastation. So I got to work. They think I'm clueless. That I'm still the agreeable daughter and the invisible wife. That I'll just smile and serve up cake while they go on living their perfect little lives. Let them think that. Let them get comfortable. Because while they were busy pretending everything was normal, I was quietly collecting every scrap of proof I could get my hands on. Betrayal always leaves fingerprints. And I was going to find them all. Let me tell you about the baby shower. Yeah, there's going to be one. A few days after my first post, my mom called me up like everything was peachy. All cheerful, like she hadn't helped lie to me about the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. She wanted me, of course, to plan Chloe's baby shower. Because, in our family, I'm basically the go-to-help. I'm the one who handles everything while they take the credit. I'd bet my last dollar that if the roles were reversed, she'd never ask Chloe to plan something for me. So, yeah, they expected me to throw a party for the woman who wrecked my marriage and my life. The sheer nerve of it made me go silent for a second. But then something clicked. This could be it. The stage. The perfect setup. So I said yes. I made sure my voice sounded soft and sweet, just like they expect from me. Mom was thrilled. Chloe will be over the moon, she said. And I smiled. Not because of Chloe, but because I knew how different her special day was going to turn out. But before I made a move, I needed proof, solid, undeniable proof. So I became focused. Maybe even obsessed. I started digging into every corner of our lives. Every night, once Ethan was asleep, I'd go through his phone, his laptop, his cloud backups, anything I could access. I wasn't sure I'd find anything at first. Maybe they were smart enough to clean up. But here's the thing about people who think they're winning, they get lazy. The first clue? A hidden folder on Ethan's phone. He tried to be slick, gave it a boring name. But I know him too well. Inside? Pictures. Some of them were innocent enough, just him and Chloe hanging out. But others, there was no denying what was going on. My stomach flipped just looking at them. But I didn't stop. I couldn't. Over the next few nights, I kept digging. I found texts, emails, old messages on social media. Conversations between Ethan and Chloe, some of them months old, talking about how careful they'd been. Like I was some clueless obstacle they had to maneuver around. The way they spoke about me, like I didn't even exist, like I was just a problem they were managing. But the worst part? The messages between Chloe and my mother. Yeah, my mom was in on it. She wasn't just turning a blind eye, she was actively helping them hide it. Encouraging Chloe to protect her reputation, saying things like, Maya doesn't need to know. Chloe even sent screenshots to Ethan, reassuring him that mom and dad were in their corner. That they didn't need to worry about me finding out. Reading that, it broke something in me. They don't see me as a daughter. I'm just a speed bump on Chloe's golden road. But I kept everything. Every message, every screenshot, every photo. I made backups too, cloud, USB, even printed copies. I'm not rushing. I'm waiting. For just the right moment. Maybe it'll be at the shower. Maybe after. But when it hits, it'll hit hard. They won't even see it coming. Update 2. It's been a week since I posted that last update. And honestly, so much has happened that I hardly know where to begin. Yesterday felt like something out of a dream or a nightmare, depending on which side you were on. I spent the entire day at Chloe's baby shower, putting on the perfect act. I was the helpful, smiling sister. The sweet daughter. The devoted wife. Just like they expected. The place was packed. Family, friends, even Chloe's husband, none of them had a clue what was brewing beneath the surface. Everything looked beautiful, like a Pinterest board come to life. And Mom, as always, was glowing with pride, soaking in all the compliments about her perfect daughter and this perfect day. She had no idea that the real gift, the one that mattered, was mine. And it was going to tear everything apart. As I walked through the party, smiling and chatting, I could feel my heart thumping in my chest, not from nerves but from the sheer weight of what was about to happen. The anticipation was electric. It wasn't excitement. It was control. For once, I had the power. And I was about to use it. As the baby shower went on, I kept my mask firmly in place. I chatted casually with guests, laughed at small talk, and made sure the mountain of baby gifts looked presentable on the table. But the whole time I was hyper-aware of what was coming. Like a ticking clock counting down to detonation. Chloe? She was glowing. Eating up the attention like a kid with candy. That smug little smile of hers stretched from ear to ear. She thought she'd won. She thought she'd buried her secret deep enough. But I let her enjoy that spotlight. The longer she believed she was untouchable, the sweeter the crash would be. Then came the moment. It was right after they cut the cake. Everyone clapped and Chloe was basking in the celebration. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest like a drum. My hands were cold but steady. This was it. I stood up and said I had a special gift for Chloe, something from the heart. And in a way, that was true. It came from a very real place inside me, just not the one they imagined. As I began to speak, the room gradually quieted. All eyes turned toward me. Chloe looked thrilled, her smile wide as she reached for the box I'd wrapped with the utmost care. Beautiful paper, satin ribbon, the kind of presentation that screams, "This is important." And it was. Everyone gathered close as she began to unwrap it, eager to see what her doting sister had given her. Inside were printed photos. Not baby clothes, not handmade crafts, but crystal-clear shots of her and Ethan, my husband, in intimate, unmistakable, filthy moments. I had chosen them with precision, not just to embarrass her, but to expose her, to rip off the mask she'd been wearing her whole life. The images left no room for denial. No, it was just a kiss nonsense. These were raw, real, and damning. I watched her face shift as she flipped through the photos. First, there was confusion, then realization, and finally horror. Her smile collapsed. Her hand trembled. Gasps started to ripple through the room. People stared, whispered, glanced at me, then back at Chloe, piecing it all together. They were seeing the truth, not just about Chloe and Ethan, but about how deep the betrayal went. But I wasn't done. As the murmurs grew louder, I stepped aside and tugged at a cord I'd hidden earlier. Decorative curtains hanging near the dessert table dropped away to reveal what I'd really prepared. A display of enlarged versions of those same photos. An art installation of treachery. The gallery of betrayal, I called it in my head. The room erupted. People scrambled for a better look. Some gasped. Some covered their mouths. Chloe looked like the life had been sucked out of her. Pale, frozen, shaking. She could barely stand. My parents rushed forward, trying to take control, as if they could just put the genie back in the bottle. But I wasn't giving them the chance. I took a deep breath and laid it all out. I told the entire room about the affair. I told them how long it had been going on. I told them how my parents knew and still helped cover it up. I told them how I'd stood in their house while they laughed, while I smiled through gritted teeth, clueless, while they protected Chloe at my expense. Chloe's husband stood frozen for a few seconds, just staring at her. Then he exploded. He shouted at her, called her a traitor, asked her how she could have done this. His pain echoed mine, the disbelief in his voice. It took me back to when I first overheard the truth. He stormed out. I didn't blame him. My parents? They didn't know what to say. For once, they couldn't protect her. Their golden child stood exposed, stripped of the image they'd worked so hard to protect. And it was me who did it. As they stood there in silence, fumbling for words, I felt something strange wash over me. A release. Not happiness. Not even satisfaction. Just relief. A heaviness lifting from my chest. A few guests came over to console me. I appreciated it, but honestly, I didn't need comfort right then. I had already done what I came to do, so I gathered my things and left. Update 3. It's been 2 weeks since the baby shower. Enough time has passed for things to calm down, or at least settle into their new, chaotic shape. I left right after everything went down. I didn't stick around to see the fallout. Didn't want to hear the excuses, the crying, or the stunned whispers. I just walked out. A few days later, I got a message from someone unexpected. One of Chloe's closest friends. Well, ex-friend now. She reached out with a mix of shock and curiosity. Said she had some questions. We ended up talking for a while. She told me that after what I revealed at the shower, something inside her shifted, like a fog had lifted. She said, if Chloe could do that to her own sister, with her sister's husband, what makes the rest of us think we're safe? Her words stuck with me. She said she couldn't look at Chloe the same anymore. Couldn't trust someone capable of that kind of betrayal. Said she was done being her friend. Then, things took a turn. She asked me for advice, wanted to know how to check if her own husband might be hiding something similar. I told her to trust her instincts and dig deep. Check his phone, his social media, messages. If anything felt off, follow the thread. I told her if she found anything serious, she knew where to find me. I know a lot of people reading this would want to know too, but that wasn't even the wildest part of the story. She gave me the play-by-play of what happened after I left the baby shower. Apparently, the place turned into a war zone. Chloe's husband's family had been there too, and once they pieced together what was happening, all hell broke loose. Shouting, accusations, chaos. Chloe's husband's parents were livid, screaming at her, calling her names, demanding to know how she could do something so low. Her father-in-law was particularly brutal, and when my dad tried to step in, saying Chloe was pregnant and shouldn't be spoken to that way, Chloe's father-in-law snapped. Told my dad that Chloe wasn't a pregnant woman. She was a walking scandal. He didn't use those exact words. His version was a lot harsher. That lit a fuse in my dad. He lunged at the man, fist swinging. Big mistake. Chloe's father-in-law landed one solid punch that sent my dad straight to the ground. He didn't pass out, but he stayed there. I don't know if it was shock, pain, or just plain embarrassment. And it didn't stop there. Chloe's mother-in-law turned her anger toward my mother. The two of them went at it verbally at first, calling each other names, pointing fingers. My mom tried to defend Chloe, as always, but the other woman wasn't having it. It escalated fast. At one point, Chloe's mother-in-law grabbed my mom's hair and yanked so hard she had to be pulled off by a couple of guests. My mom ended up missing a chunk of hair. Someone even joked afterward that she might want to invest in a wig. I probably shouldn't laugh at that. But honestly, I laughed. A few guests tried to break things up before it got worse. Eventually, the chaos settled. But the damage was done. Part of me regrets not sticking around to see it unfold. Like skipping school and missing the biggest drama of the year. But deep down, I think walking away was the right choice. I didn't need to stay for the fire. I started it. And I'm not sorry. Even though part of me was curious about the aftermath of the baby shower disaster, I know walking away was the right call. I needed to protect what little peace I had left and steer clear of the chaos, the shouting, the shame. It wasn't my mess anymore, not really. Surprisingly, Chloe came out of it all without a scratch on her. And let's be honest, it wasn't because she didn't deserve a few. The only reason she was spared was the baby she's carrying. Even the angriest people there had enough sense to draw the line at harming a pregnant woman. Now, whether or not that baby is Ethan's, well, that's a whole other story. Odds are high it is. But the kid didn't ask for any of this. The blame sits squarely with Chloe and Ethan. The child isn't responsible for the lies and betrayal that brought them into the world. Update 4. Now let's talk about Ethan, my ex-husband. Or, technically, soon-to-be ex at that point. Things moved fast once I got the ball rolling. The moment those divorce papers were processed, I had them sent straight to him. No warning, no discussion. Just a clear, legal message, we're done. At the party, he was smart enough, or maybe just scared enough, to keep his mouth shut and his head down. He slipped through that whole disaster without anyone laying a hand on him. And if you ask me, that was pure luck. Chloe's father-in-law seemed more than ready to throw fists, and if anyone in that room really deserved a punch, it was Ethan. But he got what was coming to him in another way. Later that night, when he got back to what was once our house, he found all his belongings scattered across the front lawn. I didn't leave a single thing of his inside. Everything, his clothes, his tools, even the stupid mug he liked, was laid out in the grass, waiting for him to get the message. He didn't knock, didn't call, just quietly gathered his stuff and drove off. At least he had the good sense to understand the door was closed. Permanently. Now we're just waiting for the final paperwork on the house. Once the divorce settled, we sold it and split the money straight down the middle. Clean break. No alimony, no kids involved, which made things a lot simpler. Cold, but simple. And as for my family? Nothing. No calls, no texts. Not a single word from my parents or Chloe. No apology. No explanation. Nothing. And honestly, I'm not surprised. Even though I was the one betrayed, cheated on, lied to, humiliated in front of an entire party, none of them have had the courage or decency to reach out. It's like they've just moved on pretending it didn't happen. Or worse, like I'm the one who ruined everything just by exposing the truth. But this whole thing has just confirmed what I've always feared deep down. I was never their priority. Chloe always came first. Always will. No matter what she does, no matter how much damage she causes, they'll never turn on her. They've built their world around her, and they'd rather live in denial than admit she's a problem. I spent most of my life trying to earn a spot in that family. Trying to be seen to be enough. But after all this, I finally get it. That moment will never come. They don't see me. They never did. And you know that old saying, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face? I used to think it was just a funny line. But now, I get it. Because, spoiler alert, Ethan finally did get punched in the face. Just not when or how he expected. Let me back up a bit. You remember Chloe's ex-friend, the one who came to me after the baby shower? I helped her figure out how to check if her husband was hiding anything, just like mine had. Well, guess what she found? Turns out her husband was also cheating with Chloe. Yeah. Chloe somehow managed to be involved with not one, not two, but 3 men during all this, including her own sister's husband and her friends. So naturally, the friend confronted her husband. Things got heated. And somewhere in the middle of all that, she dropped a bomb, told him my ex was part of it too. What did her husband do? He didn't even argue. He just turned around, got in his car, and drove straight to Chloe's place, where she was staying with Ethan. Because, they thought the baby might be his. And when he saw Ethan, he didn't say a word. He just punched him. Square in the face. So even though Ethan managed to avoid a fist at the baby shower, karma caught up. And honestly, that part still makes me smile. Apparently, Ethan is now trying to sue the guy for assault. Typical Ethan, to ruin lives and then play the victim when things blow up in his face. I haven't really kept up with the legal drama, and truthfully, I don't care. Let him deal with that on his own. As for Chloe's actual husband, the one she was married to during all this, he packed up and left right after the shower. Filed for divorce almost immediately. It hasn't gone through yet, probably because of the baby. Legal stuff always drags out when a kid is involved. My own divorce? That wrapped up about a month ago. Clean cut. The house got sold, we split the money evenly, and that was that. No spousal support, no custody battles. It's over. I think the speed of my divorce just made the chaos around my sister feel that much more endless. My chapter wrapped up cleanly while hers kept spiraling into madness. And speaking of my ex, after that well-earned punch to the face, he got hit with a whole other kind of blow. Turns out, the baby he thought might be his probably isn't. Yep. The same man who happily slept with my sister while married to me, who lied to my face and helped destroy my trust, suddenly couldn't handle the idea that she might have cheated on him. The irony? It's rich. Almost comical, really. He ended up packing his bags and leaving Chloe's place, heartbroken and betrayed exactly how I'd felt. And I have to admit, I laughed. The hypocrisy was so thick you could cut it with a knife. How do you play victim in a situation you helped create? How do you betray someone and then fall apart when the betrayal turns on you? I guess people like him don't really see their own reflection until it smacks them in the face, literally and emotionally. But hold on, because this story still has a few wild turns. Chloe gave birth. And just like everyone predicted, the baby's paternity had to be tested immediately. No one was taking anyone's word for anything at this point. And the results? Ethan, my ex, isn't the father. Nope. The baby belongs to Chloe's ex-friend's husband. The one who punched Ethan. The one who also filed for divorce the minute he learned the truth. I wish I could say I was surprised, but I wasn't. Not even a little. Honestly, knowing my sister and the trail of destruction she's left behind, I wouldn't be shocked if there were more contenders out there. There might be a whole list of names we haven't even heard yet. That's just how she operates. That's how they all operate. And still, not a peep from my parents. Not a call. Not a text. Not a single olive branch extended since this entire disaster started. But for once, and I want to make this clear, I'll give them the sarcastic benefit of the doubt. Maybe they haven't reached out because they're too busy cleaning up the fallout from the circus they helped create. Update 5. Alright, let me get this out of the way first, because apparently some folks didn't catch the tone in my last post. When I said I was giving my family the benefit of the doubt. That was sarcasm. Heavy sarcasm. I know my parents. I've lived a lifetime with them. If this mess hadn't happened, they still wouldn't have reached out to me. Not in a million years. Now on to the latest. Chloe's moved back in with our parents. Why? Because the biological father of her baby, the ex-friend's ex-husband, wants nothing to do with her. And to be honest, I can't blame him. I mean, sure, he cheated too, but sticking around with someone like my sister? That's not a relationship. That's a punishment. So, single and with a newborn, she went crawling back to the only place that still treats her like royalty, Mom and Dad's house. No surprise there. They welcomed her back like nothing happened. Like she didn't just ruin 4 lives in a year. As for her divorce, it wrapped up pretty well for her ex-husband. The house they shared got sold and he walked away without having to pay child support or spousal support. Pretty sweet deal, if you ask me. He got the clean break I wish more people could get. No strings. No bills. Just freedom. If life ever handed out second chances, that guy got a golden one. Chloe's ex-friend? Her divorce is finalized too. Between the legal wins and the literal punches thrown, she got her piece. I think we all did in our own way. Things have finally settled for now anyway. No more flying fists or screaming matches. Just silence and awkward glances when the names come up. But the memories? Those aren't going anywhere. Some of them are carved into hearts. Others into cheekbones.